Do we have any visitors that would like to make comments? Agenda? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda as presented? Is, okay. Mr. Wells Barksdale, motion for the agenda. And Mandy, second. A motion to approve the agenda has been made. All in favor? None opposed. The agenda approved 7-0 vote. 6-0. Okay, with Heather. I would like to welcome everyone this evening. We are here tonight to receive input from the community on the budget priorities for the next school year. We encourage and value public input into the school system's budget process. This is the first of 2 public hearings where the public can provide input. The administration will consider all of the input received this evening as they complete the budget process during the months of March, April, and May. The budget calendar calls for the board to approve a tentative budget at their regular meeting in May and adopt a final budget at their regular meeting in June. With that said, let me remind anyone wanting to speak to the board that you ask to limit your comments to 3 minutes. If we run out of time during this hearing before everyone present wishing to address the board has an opportunity to do so, then we will continue with public comments during the regular meeting. Let's begin. Oh, I'll get it. Do we have any guests that would like to make comments? Ms. Charlotte Gellert? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, Board, and Superintendent. Good evening. I thank y'all for having this public hearing on the budget. I actually just came to see if anybody was going to talk. So seeing no one else, I thought I would say something. So I haven't prepared anything. I hope if the students are still struggling with learning that they missed during COVID and emotional problems still from COVID, I hope you will put enough money in student supports to handle all of that. I see from your budget schedule that the superintendent is going to be talking with the tax assessor starting this month and just about every month on the taxes. I don't know if the tax assessor has had a chance yet to find out the impact of increasing the senior exemption from 35,000 to 50,000, how it would impact your budget. It doesn't help seniors though if they get an additional 15,000 exemption on their senior taxes, but their assessment goes up 30,000. So actuarially, how long do people live in their houses after age 75? Could you consider increasing it some more? Or as DeKalb is considering it, put a freeze on seniors' assessments, say at age 75, maybe not 65. So, and see what that would impact to the budget. Apparently, it starts with the superintendent to the legislature, even though the public can write petitions and make phone calls and emails. So perhaps this year, enough in student support, enough teachers' salaries are always seems to be an issue, but the governor, I think, has given a bonus. I think there's a cost of living raise in the state teacher pay scale, as there usually is, as well as longevity. So perhaps if you have to make up the money somewhere, make it up in central office. All right. Thank you very much. And I'm going to leave and go to the next meeting. And again, thank you for having this opportunity for the public.
Thank you, Ms. Gellert, for coming. Do we have any more guests that would like to make comments tonight for the board? Okay.
Yes. In between tables. Good idea, Phil. Move. Good idea. All right.
Is there a motion to end the public hearing? We're going to do the public hearings. Close the public hearing.
I second.
A motion to end the public hearing has been made by Sandra Jackson-Lett and a second by Ms. Palmer. All in favor? The motion carries 6-0. The public hearing has concluded at this time. Go ahead. I would like to welcome everyone to the Rockdale County Board of Education regular work session. It is now 6 o'clock. Okay, and I am calling the meeting to order. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda presented?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
A motion to approve the agenda as presented has been made by Ms. Palmer and a second by Mrs. Jackson-Lett. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion carries 6-0. This is the time when we allow citizens 3 minutes to address the board. Please feel free to submit any documents to the board. We do not normally address your concerns tonight, but we ask the administration to address your concerns and provide you with an appropriate response. If your topic involves a personnel matter, or if you contend that your legal rights have been violated, we have specific grievance procedures for these matters. We respectfully ask that you refrain from making threats, personal attacks, or rude or slanderous remarks, or even becoming boisterous. I would like to welcome, well, no visitors. Okay. There are no visitors who would like to address the board tonight. So the next item on the agenda is the superintendent's cabinet updates. Dr. Oates?
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. We have coming to the podium Ms. Vernalise Saprintup, who's our Social Studies K-12 coordinator, and she's done an exceptional job in that role. She's going to give us some updates.
Well, good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, Chairwoman Brown, Dr. Oates, board members, and cabinet. As Dr. Oates mentioned, I'm Vernalise Saprintup. I'm the K-12 coordinator for Social Studies. I have some updates for you all. The last time I was here, I talked to you about the new personal finance and economics course. And when I left, I had a couple of items that I was going to work on to launch the course. So I want to start there and then walk you through what social studies currently looks like in Rockdale schools. So if you'll remember the last time that I was here, we talked about the state requirement for every student to take a personal finance course by the time they graduate. Well, the Georgia Council on Economics Education and the Georgia DOE found a way to update the required high school economics course by thinning out some of the traditional economic standards and adding on personal finance standards. So that course that used to be called Economics Business Free Enterprise is now called Personal Finance and Economics. 51% of that course is dedicated to personal finance standards. So it does fit this state requirement, and there are some talks about a federal requirement. So what the state of Georgia has done will also meet the needs of that federal requirement. So how do we support the changes? The last time I was here, I shared a curriculum map with you. So we were able to take that curriculum map and update existing units because all of the content isn't new, but also create new units to support the new content. The most drastic change for us was the update to summative assessments to make sure that they align with the instructional units. Our teachers are still being trained on how to teach personal finance with empathy, but they're also being trained on how to step outside of their personal beliefs about the economy, about debt, about credit, and really thinking about the students that are sitting in front of them, our community, and options that our students learn about so that they make the best decision for them and their families. And finally, we've added some new partnerships with some economics organizations and continued some existing partnerships with organizations. So the personal finance part of the course, that's where most of our work has gone. 51% of that course is dedicated to rational decision-making, budgeting, understanding services provided by financial institutions, going beyond banks and credit unions, looking at payday lending, looking at title pawn centers, looking at things like Cash App and Venmo, and how that can impact your credit, but also how that's convenient for people to maybe budget differently than my generation even has. But there's still specific things like learning how to balance a checkbook and knowing how to reconcile a checkbook. Right now, I'm working on an assessment where kids have to analyze a credit report and determine if that person's credit is worthy enough to accept a loan. And that's really, really hard to assess in a multiple choice assessment. So a lot of our work is being spent there. But what I love about this is kids have to do social studies. So here's an example of one of the standards. Evaluate the costs and benefits of using credit. And we're going to focus specifically on the element, analyze and evaluate a sample loan application for creditworthiness and the ability to receive favorable interest rates. Another example, use an online amortization tool to show how payments on a fixed loan like a mortgage are applied to interest and principal. I struggle with that at my age, but if our kids can leave here in May and understand that, then we're going to start some generational wealth for some of our kids and continue generational wealth for some of our other kids, but also have them make the decision of, do I rent now or do I put my money to the side so that I can buy something? So this is really, really tiny, but this is an excerpt from our last assessment from the unit. If it's in your budget, don't judge it. And kids were given a scenario. John recently graduated from college. He has a good job, but he gets home and his landlord says, I'm going to increase the rent. John wants to live there. He's got 30 days to make a decision. John wants to live there. And so his cousin comes over to help him look at his budget to see where he can save some funds and still afford to live there. So of course, the kids have to be able to, what do you need to budget? What do you need to budget? And it's deeper than what's in your account right now. So we got to look at a pay stub, but we also have to look at credit card statements. We also have to look at how much John spends every single day. Part of the standards require that the students understand the difference between gross pay and net pay. And that's been very, very telling for our kids because we have students who've been working since they were 12, 13 years old, but this wasn't ever a conversation that they had because the money cleared, so it's good for me, but we're taking them deeper. So in analyzing John's bank statement, we decided that we can't limit it to a multiple choice question. So the students actually have to write about what they notice with John's saving and spending behaviors. So they have to describe what is he spending his money on. They also have to give examples to support that claim. Like, does he have more money going out than he has coming in? And then we had a drag and drop feature for this particular item where the kids had to classify variable and fixed expenses based on what's on this bank statement. So we're getting there, but sometimes we're building the plane as we're flying it, and that's okay because it's a learning opportunity for us and for our teachers. But the students are doing really, really well with the shift in the assessments, and the teachers are having a great time teaching this new content because they feel like it's the most practical thing that they've done in a long time. Now, that doesn't take away from the old class, but it gives them some new life for this class. So where are we now? We are giving students opportunities to engage with the curriculum. I've given people numbers for some of our lending sources throughout the community to invite them in so that they can talk to students in an unbiased way. We're also building partnerships with community institutions like Georgia Council on Economics Education. They're one of our standstills, but we're also working with Next Generation Personal Finance. They may have contacted one or more of you to tell you about their products and their programs. It's completely free, but they have tried to corner the market on free resources for our teachers. But we also are still working on how to teach personal finance with an unbiased approach and with an empathetic approach. So here's another look at some of our learning partners. We did not have to purchase additional resources for this shift, but we are expanding our reach. We're partnering with the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta, Regions Bank we partner with because we partner with EverFi, and we're hoping to grow this list. But I will share this, there are some companies out there that we may not partner with because in sticking with teaching empathy, sticking with, everyone's not going to be Clark Howard, right? But there are some resources where that's the direction that we go. And we want to give our kids multiple opportunities to make that decision on spending and saving that's best for them and their family and what they need right now. So some of the resources might be more harmful than they are helpful to pushing this forward with our students. So I want to take us through a journey of what we're doing in social studies right now. So it's been a couple of years since I've been here to talk about what social studies looks like. But our focus this year has been on understanding the divisive concepts law from the classroom teacher lens. Now, back in July, I was here and gave you a little bit of information before Santana did the training. So in my mind and talking with Santana, we talked about how we can bring this to the schools so that they have an understanding outside of the steps that happen behind the scenes if there is a complaint. We've updated our social studies look-fors. We have a goal to increase civic engagement. And then I'm going to bring something new to you. We are focusing on adding windows, mirrors, and doors to the curriculum. So with the divisive concepts law, we now have an admin bulletin that breaks the law down for our teachers in bite-sized chunks so that they do not fear teaching the Georgia Standards of Excellence, but they understand that there is a process in place if the law is encroached upon. With talking with our teachers, with talking with our leaders, we talked about the importance of using primary and secondary sources and inquiry-driven social studies to avoid any hoopla, any going down the wrong direction of teaching something that's not appropriate according to the law. I'm happy to say that we haven't had any incidences that have caused any alarm. I think that going around and talking to the schools was very helpful, but also meeting with the leaders to kind of come in behind the legal portion that they learned about in July, and that's been pretty successful. And if there has been a question, our leaders are on it and they're like, well, I was in a classroom and I heard this. Is this standards aligned? Yes, okay, good. No, okay, here's my next step. Looking for updates for our look-fors. We talked about this the last time that I was here. We have 5, but we're going to make some updates because the DOE is going to make some updates. But our priority for social studies instruction every day, we start every lesson with a compelling question. And that's a question that may have a yes or no answer, but it doesn't have just one answer. And throughout the lesson, the students receive nuggets to be able to answer that question and support it with evidence from the lesson. Something that we're still working on, It's important for our students to think like a social scientist. So we want them to get into primary and secondary sources. We want them to look at maps. We want them to see the history in real time as opposed to sit back and receive a lecture. Investigation and inquiry goes right along with thinking like a social scientist. We focus on literacy every day. And we want to make sure that our students are able to talk about the content with each other, with the teacher, and then outside of their classroom. But most importantly, if students are able to ask questions, if students are able to retell the story, and if students are able to take action afterwards, that means that they got it. But we had to add some teeth to this because we want to make sure that our students really are getting it. So one quote that we use in teaching and learning often is every student deserves a great teacher, not by chance, but by design. So one of our focuses for the last 2 years for social studies has been visible learning for social studies. And so this quotation directly supports the work of visible learning for social studies. So this is a diagram of the impact of teaching by chance and teaching by design. So point 4 is our goal. Any strategy, any resource, anything that we do, if the effect size is 0.4 or greater, that means that our students are going to grow a year and a half or more in what they learn. Anything that is 0 to 0.4, sometimes that's the luck of the draw. It worked that one time, but it might not work the next time. But if we go higher, 0.4 to 1.0, that's where we want to land, because that means that even if our students have experienced learning loss, we can give them an opportunity to make learning leaps by selecting strategies that fall within this 0.4 to 1 point. And it actually goes higher than 1 point, but there's a certain kind of direction that needs to be taken to achieve that mastery above that. So just another look at the barometer of influence and the hinge point. 0.4 and higher is where we want to go. And so with our visible learning approach with our teachers, we focused on specific strategies to help our students achieve. So in teaching and learning, we have 3 main focus for strategies this year, and the social studies team has done a great job making sure that we focus on those 3, but also thinking back to our look fors. So activating prior knowledge is one of our big 3. Questioning is one of our big 3. And reciprocal teaching is one of our big 3. So there's not a big gimmick. We can focus on those 3 things and we can see success in our classrooms. So our trainings focus on those big 3. Inquiry is what we do every day. Classroom discussions is what we do every day. So if we still need room for growth, we look at those big 3. So our next area of focus is something that might be new to you. It's called windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. And this is where we make sure that our students are able to build relationships with the curriculum and see themselves and see their classmates in what they're learning. So a window is a resource, instruction that offers a view into someone else's experience. So this is how students are able to learn about others and how to conduct themselves in the world around them. A mirror is giving students the opportunity to see themselves in the curriculum. Now, the social studies standards are excellent, but they also are broad so that teachers can include names, dates, events for local history, but also names, dates that they are familiar with and they connect with, so they also can bring their students into the content and connect them with the content. And then finally, sliding doors. The sliding door, this is the opportunity where we can become a part of the story, we can access the story at will, but this is where the reflection comes from, and this is where the taking informed action comes from. And all of this is important because this gives every student an opportunity to engage. But it also is important because it's a critical step towards equity. And I know that's something that we focused on a lot over the last couple of years in this district. So if we're able to put this into our curriculum, the sky's the limit for our students. But I think what's most important about this is that by inserting windows, mirrors, and doors into the intended curriculum and emphasizing a focus on culturally responsive teaching and learning, a critical step can be made towards academic achievement and excellence. And that's one of our #1 goals for our students. So our final goal is to increase civic engagement. And this is something that we have added to the strategic plan. It's not just a social studies thing, it's an everybody thing. But in social studies, we kind of have the upper hand because we're able to do things like host high school voter registration week. We're able to host mock elections every election year, not just the big ones, but the little ones too. We've also submitted an application for the Civic Engagement Diploma Seal that's offered by the state. And we have a booming partnership with the Rockdale Board of Elections. So I'm really, really excited about this. and we continue to grow. In fact, some of our teachers are engaged in a webinar right now about civic engagement and civic discourse. So this is the social studies team. I'm Vernon Lisa Printup. The elementary coach is Dr. Lisa Hockaday, and the secondary coach is Dr. Wisteria Williams. We really enjoy the work that we do, and our number one goal is to bring social studies to the masses. So I thank you so much for the opportunity to share what's going on with us right now. Thank you for your time. I know that I am the only person that's speaking on the agenda, so I'm going to thank you and stop talking. If you have any questions, please let me know, but thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Thank you for the presentation. It was great, and I'm glad to hear that you all put this in motion. My question with the personal finance and economics is at what grade level will this start? And will the students each year receive a similar module to help them grow in learning this personal finance as it relates to their grade level maturity?
Okay, so the personal finance and economics course is offered in 12th grade, but in grades K through 8, there is an economics domain. It's still labeled as economics, but every grade level, K through 8, does have some element of personal finance that they learned. Some of them, elementary, it's interwoven throughout the year. For secondary, 6th and 7th, they learn econ throughout the year. They learn it by the region. But then at the end of the year, everyone studies a personal finance unit, K through 8.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question. I know you were talking about reconciling a bank statement and checking account. And from what I've seen with our students, most of them don't have checks. Nobody has the old check register, but it's very much on their phone, their app, and Venmo and Cash App and Zelle and all the other things that you mentioned. So is there something in place of reconciling a bank statement, since they don't, that's Greek to them and they probably will never have checks, that teaches them about how like Venmo works with your other checking accounts? Y'all have something like that, I guess?
So that's a different standard. So they still want them to reconcile that, because what we know is that our kids don't understand. Yes, you have the money in Cash App, but you only have this much money. And if you spend this, then where does the rest of the money come from? So there are actually two separate standards that work together to make sure that they see the old fashioned way. It's kind of like math. You learn the root work first, and then you learn the abstract. We're working on it, but that was something that was pretty neat from the teachers. They're like, they don't understand why they have to do this. But
Right.
even if you're going to check your app every single day, you know that you've spent this much money, so things should add up. That's the biggest takeaway for them.
Yeah, and thank you so much. Great presentation. And I was going to ask the same question Mandy asked, but I have a different one. Since we are also entwining this with civic engagement, does the program, the class for personal finance also include anything dealing with the responsibility of filing your taxes? Because I have a 22-year-old and she's like, deal with the headlights now. Like, what do you mean I have to file taxes and pay more money? So does it also include anything with taxes?
It does, and one of the elements of the standard actually requires them to understand a W-9, and they have to answer specific questions based on it. That was a hard assessment item to write too, because they're supposed to do something with the W-9. And then they have a separate unit on taxes, property taxes, proportional taxes, all of the different types of taxes too, so that they're well equipped when they walk out of here.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. Up next, we have our Chief HR Officer who will give us some important information on our staffing.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Superintendent, board members. I am here tonight. Are you going to put my PowerPoint up? Do I just click? Oh, okay, thank you. So first, let me start Is there a trick?
It's,
I think we've got it now. So these are our current certified vacancies. Of course, at this point in time in the year, those are only when people have resigned, they've moved, those kinds of things. And so we typically do have a lower number of vacancies at this point in time in the year. Starting in March, we'll start bringing you our anticipated vacancies for the 23-24 school year. So we will have those starting next month for you. Here's our 100-day student enrollment count. So you can see we are 24 students less than what we had projected. So I feel pretty good that we got that as close to right as we could with 15,500 students. And so with that, I do have an action item tonight. The superintendent will recommend the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the attached certified teacher allotments for the FY24 budget year as a minimum number of positions needed. This includes 338 elementary school teachers, 197 middle school teachers, 251 high school teachers. The approval of the minimum certified staff positions points is crucial in order to allow principals an adequate window for interviewing and securing quality personnel for the upcoming school year. The points plan includes flexibility staffing points, which are contingent upon funding during the budget process. And this is exactly the same number of certified positions for regular ed that we requested last year. And then we also have the projected special ed and English language learner certified allotments. The superintendent will recommend the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the attached special ed and English language learner certified allotments for the FY24 budget year as a minimum number of positions needed. This includes 75 elementary special education teachers, 123 secondary, and 29 ELL teachers. The approval of the minimum certified staff positions or staffing points is crucial in order to allow principals an adequate window for interviewing and securing quality personnel. So one thing I do want to note here is this is 2 additional elementary teachers from what we had last year and 14 additional secondary teachers from what we requested last year and 1 additional ELL teacher from what we requested last year. And I'll be glad to answer any questions if you have them.
Get the mic on.
Yes, ma'am.
So the projected numbers for the regular, not the special ed, the slide before. When we have those number of teachers, what does our classroom size look like? Like what's the average for each level, elementary, middle, or high school? Can you hear me?
They're all right at 20 students to 1.
Okay,
And that, if you want to look at the 100-day student enrollment count, which is in your folders for this board meeting, all of those are in there.
okay. And for the special ed, we are increasing the numbers based on what we have more students, or we just want to lower the number of students we have, the ratio?
Both.
Both?
Both.
Okay.
We're trying to do both of those things. We worked with Dr. Smith-Dixon's group as they're going through and evaluating kids who are maybe in process, some that maybe have not reached eligibility yet, but we anticipate may reach eligibility. We just want to make sure we have enough staff to service those students.
Okay.
And this time of year, it's way easier to hire those special ed students than if we wait until the summer and then we need them and then we can't find them.
And as you go through this process, are you, I know you're getting ready to go through the process, but you're, working ahead of schedule, I am assuming.
We are.
Is it looking easy to find special ed, difficult more so than, I know, what does it look like for
It's-
special ed teachers versus the traditional classroom teachers?
Yeah, it's still math, science, special ed, or foreign language are our hardest places to recruit for
Mhm.
teachers. And so we have, I'm actually going to an all special ed SLP job fair to recruit there. We're taking several of Dr. Smith-Dixon's staff with us to recruitment fairs, trying to make sure that we attract those. We also have we've developed some relationships with some university partners who have strong special ed programs, trying to also attract their students.
Okay, thank you. Kim.
Thank you.
And as a point of personal privilege, I'd like to publicly congratulate Dr. McDermott on your recent wedding, which I think was a couple of days ago. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
We have our Chief Operations Officer who's got a lot of important information to share.
They're testing an old man. That's not nice on Thursday evening. Good evening, Madam Chair Brown, Madam Vice Chair Duncan, board members, and Superintendent Dr. Oates. I'm glad I've got important information. So let me start before I get into too far down into, well, let's start with this part here. Back on the eve of Christmas Eve, we had a flood. We had a pipe break. We found out about it and on the 26th, and we thankfully, Dr. Richards was in the Heritage High School. That's the north wing of the high school. We got an ABM team assembled that night to start mopping up water. Thanks to Mr. Hall, he got us in touch with Chartered Restoration and notified GSBA. And we began working on the building. And by the 25th of January, we were completely cleaned up, had some asbestos moved, we had tile removed, we had carpet removed, we had the floors sanded down to the cement so we could continue having classes in there. Now, between coming back at the 2nd of January until that point, there were some days in there we did use some of those classrooms. The carpet did not respond to the treatment that we expected it to be. They took it out to begin with, put some plastic down. So we did have some usage of that space during that period of time, but this company did a marvelous job working overtime to get us back in business, and we're thankful for their work. We will continue to work with waxing and burnishing those main hallways down that north wing. Over the holiday periods, which will be February and April, we'll put in the new carpet. And then this summer, we'll work on putting the VCT back in place. And the project will be completed this summer. And right now, we're looking at $650,000 plus the tech production equipment that will be added to that. So thankful for insurance. This is some pictures of the flood. We had inches of water on that north. You can imagine, we had an inch pipe break. I'll show you just in a minute. I'll show you a picture of that. And it continued flowing until Monday. We were there to shut it off. That's above these two classrooms is where the pipe broke. It was in part of our heating and HVAC system. And it was part of the fire alarm system. So it was a area that did have heat. And we were monitoring temperatures outside, not thinking about the temperatures inside developing faster than the outside temperatures as far as getting above freezing. That's the weekend we were down to 9 degrees plus wind chill. And so as we were monitoring that, obviously the inside temperatures were a little quicker to rise, and it's basically that being the top of the building. So a little water got out before we had a chance to find it. This is the recovery work that's done. You can see the cement floors there where they have come in and sanded those with heavy equipment and removed everything except the cement floor. And we'll come back in later and finish fixing these rooms up this summer. I have some 6 action items tonight. The first one is doing with buying a bus, but I want to talk to you a little bit about the ARC, Atlanta Regional Commission, Georgia Department of Transportation MOU and grant that we were offered. Mr. Mike Richard, some of you know him, was a longtime member of our community. He was on the ARC board, worked hard, and in the winter of 2021, we were awarded this contract under Rockdale County Transportation. And later that spring, going into summer, they decided, no, we can work directly with the school system. So we began working with the contract we received. As a 3-year contract buying 6 buses a year and Mr. Flanagan did an awesome job going through that, getting the document reviewed and returning it to them. And then over time, we kept pushing, trying to get decisions. They decided just this last September that they were going to split it into 3 one-year contracts. Same money, same everything, just split it. So again, I brought it to Mr. Flanagan. He reviewed it. He had it back to them, I believe it was less than 24 hours. And I began pressing them because last year was the first year of buying these buses. And it's an 80%, they will pay 20% for Rockdale County Public Schools. So we've been pushing because I need to get those buses ordered. Well, last fall, we bought some buses that you approved, and we found out the price has jumped drastically for purchasing buses. When we started on this, we were paying almost $96,000 a bus. So we put the price of buses at $110,000, thinking we had plenty of gap over a 3-year stint. As you can see here tonight, a bus costs $125,584. And my question back to GDOT was, will you continue to pay 80% of this total value, or will you reduce it to 5 buses and pay that portion? Just what's your formula? What's going to change? I need to know, so when I bring it to you to prove our part of the funding, we know where we stand. And so they've been playing around. Last Friday, I spoke to ARC, told them we have the money, we're ready to go purchase buses. And she said, well, you need to get back with GDOT. And today, just this afternoon, GDOT and I have had a conversation. So here's the scoop. For last year's contract, which we will bring you the MOU and the contract next month, they will only pay 80% of the $110,000, and we will have to pay the difference up to this $125,000 mark per bus. Now, that's still a good deal. It's about a 70-30% deal. It's basically going to be about the same money the state bus replacement fund is that we're working with tonight. So I told them I would gladly receive that quickly, bring it to you all next month, and also have a board action to buy my first 6 buses, because I understand it'll be November 24 before I will receive these buses because of the backlog in bus production. And so they stalled me, said, no, we need to do the contract first and make sure all parties sign it first. So I will bring action to you, hopefully in April, to buy these 6 first buses from them if everything continues to work. Which brings me to my action item tonight. Superintendent will recommend that Rockdale Board of Education approve Peach State Freightliner Thomas Bus Sales of Georgia as the vendor for the purchase of 8 72-passenger buses totaling $1,004,672. Georgia Department of Education regular funding allotment of $88,110 per bus will fund this plus East Plus funding. You see there the difference. The contract is 99999 SPD-G 201606001-002. You see the $133,000 state pricing for a school bus. Freightliner's giving us a break of $125,584. This is the standard bus that we purchase with some air ride seats, bus driver comforts as far as mirror control, heated mirrors, so we don't have to do that from outside the bus, and it's for safety reasons. And so the total there, as you see, is going to be $704,880 for Department of Education, and $299,792 for East Plus 5. We will recommend tonight that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve Covington installer of Robbins Biochannel SB to the Robbins Sourcewell contract 031022-RBI for the demolition and reinstallation of the Memorial Middle School Gymnasium Wood Athletic 4 at a cost not to exceed $214,407. The gym floor has been piecemealed by my team over the last 5 to 6 years, sections of it. But the fastener infrastructure, that's the rationale behind this need, is compromised, causing the floor to have bubbles and rises. The highest one's about 4 inches. Some of it's on the edge of the playing area, but it's nevertheless, it's a safety impact for our gym classes and for anything that goes on in that room. This is the original floor, and the East Plus 5 will be the funding source for this project, and it'll take place this summer. I have 4 paint projects. Last fall, you approved the architect, and now we have the bids in. The superintendent will recommend that the Rockdale Board of Education approve the selection of ICS Inc. as the contractor of choice from bids submitted February 2nd, 2023, in the amount of $184,000 for the Salem High School repainting project. They are the lowest bid, and the scope of the work is to paint all the interior and exterior of the school as needed, also to include parking lot striping. And this keeps us in our 7-year cycle of painting. It's $184,000 out of East SPLOST 5. ICS is also the contractor of choice for magnet. Same rationale. The price is $45,540 for the magnet painting. And ICS has painted with us before. They have this project as well as one more tonight of the projects we are sharing with you. A&D is the contractor of choice from bids submitted February 2nd, 2023. The amount of $225,000 for the Rockdale County High School repainting project. They are the lowest bid for this project, and the scope is as the other one, parking lot striping, interior, exterior of the building as needed. The last one is CJ Hicks Elementary painting. ICS is the contractor of choice from bids submitted on the 2nd of February for $84,000, and the same scope there. ICS, we stopped and reviewed them to make sure they could handle the schedule that we have. We're working with Rockdale County High School and Salem High School's athletic teams that have normal practice in the summer. There's 3 weeks, Dr. Rao said that there's nothing in there. We've asked them to address those areas first, to paint the administration areas when they're have low staff in there. And the plan is to be completed by the time staff comes back and students come back in July. That concludes my action items. My presentation. Wait, this thing got relayed back. Here we go. I don't know how this got way down the bottom of the picture, but here we go. This is our $650,000 piece. It sits on my desk. It reminds me every day of problems when you spend Christmas break at Heritage High School, but that's the problem right there. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Budasik.
And we have our Director of Technology coming to share some very important information with us regarding our learning management system.
Chairwoman Brown, Vice Chair Duncan, Dr. Oates, board members, good evening. Today, I want to start off by sharing with you a report from ClassLink. It's a login report from January 8th to February 5th, and it shows you the number of logins. It's kind of difficult to see, I know that, but during the week, on average, we have close to 30,000 logins a day from students and from employees, because it is our launching pad for all our online applications. But really what I would like to do is draw your attention to the bottom right of the screen. That icon is the It's Learning icon. And so it's the top app of this year. As 1.8 million logins this year, is projected to be over 3 million by the end of this year. It's Learning is our learning management system. It houses all our digital content that teachers deliver to students. This right here is a report from It's Learning. It's a login report from January 6th to February 3rd, and it shows you the number of logins actually into It's Learning. And so approximately on average about 25,000 logins during the school week each day there. But It's Learning is actually the pillar of Learning Reimagine. And so we've been with It's Learning since 2015. And Learning Reimagine, there's our one-to-one program that we have. Over a year ago, though, It's Learning contacted us and let us know that they were actually pulling out of the United States market, and they were not renewing any more contracts. Our contract is over at the end of this year. And so we've been working since then, planning since then, a transition into a new learning management system. And so this past semester, a committee was selected and worked to choose the best LMS for Rockdale County Public Schools. And so the selection committee, with all their work, selected Canvas as our LMS, our next LMS. Canvas is in over 3,000 districts across the United States and all 50 states. They have over 30 million users globally, and they're in over 70 countries across the world. You'll see here, it shows districts throughout the state that use Canvas. A lot of districts surrounding us use Canvas. You also see Georgia Virtual School uses Canvas. You'll see universities as well. So Emory and Georgia Tech are two of them in our state that use it. So in Canvas really connects everyone in our district. So it connects our students. It's a place where they receive their grades, their syllabus, their assignments, personalized content. It's a communication tool between the teachers and the students. The teachers use it, of course, to deliver their course materials, their grading. They can communicate with students and with parents. They add their calendars and schedules. Even administration, the county office, we're able to share district-wide the curriculum through Canvas. And then all our third-party apps we can integrate into Canvas. Parents, it's a communication tool because it lets the parents know their assignments and their progress of their children there. One of the other things for Canvas is that it integrates with Microsoft, and Microsoft, you know, of course, is our productivity tool that we use. And so it integrates with OneDrive, Teams, Microsoft Immersive Reader, OneNote, Classroom Notebook as well. So it is one of the best that integrates with Microsoft. And so tonight, I have an action item. The action item is the superintendent recommends that the Rockdale County Board of Education approve the annual purchase of Canvas, a product of Instructure, as our learning management system. This purchase is based on a 5-year agreement between Instructure and Rockdale County Public Schools. The financial impact, this year, the financial obligation for the setup and the implementation only is $24,840 as planned from general fund. And then you'll see the actual subscription and support starts in the fiscal year 24. And so the first year it'll be $83,959.20. For school year 2025, it'll be $83,689.20. I want to stop here and show you that there's a dip in price, and I want to explain that to you. And so every year the price increases, the subscription increases, plus the number of students, because we've allocated for increase in student growth as well. But the first year, you'll see it says subscription and support. So the first year we select the top tier support, and this is standard because it's the first year we implement a product. After that, the second year we drop down a tier in support for that, and we continue that support throughout. And so that's why you see the dip in price, because we drop down in the tier of support there. 2026, you'll see it's $90,326.40. 2027, it's $97,430.40. And 2028, $104,774.40. And that's all I have for tonight. Any questions? Yes, because it's an increase in subscription every year and then increase in student growth. So we have to allocate for those every year.
You know, what I'm saying is that if you look at the numbers, it's about 7,000. So it doesn't matter how much students are per year. It's just 7,000. Like it's running rough.
It's close to that, but actually it's a little bit different because of the price difference every year and then the anticipated student growth over those years. It just so happens because the student growth is really standard. We're standardizing that student growth.
It is formulaic instead of standard. Okay,
Correct.
That's the question.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Derek.
All right. Good evening, Madam Chair Brown, Madam Vice Chair Duncan, Dr. Oates, members of the board. I'll be going over the preliminary financial reports for January. But first, Ms. Prentice, I want to say how excited I am about this personal finance class. I took that class in 1982 at Heritage High School. So shout out to Heritage High School. All right. The revenue for the month of January is 10.9 million. Revenue year to date is 131.8 million, which is 72.8% of our budget. Prior year in January, we see 11.3 million, 125.9 million year to date, which is 73.5% of our budget. Expenditures for the month of January, 15.5. Expenditure, 107.4 million year-to-date, which is 58.2% of our budget. January last year, we received we expended 14.2 million, 98.7 million year-to-date, which is 57.6% of our budget. Outstanding encumbrances are $1,781,067. Our fund balance at the end of January is a little over 63 million. Our fund balance last period was a little over 56 million. So you sure we're still above that. I told you we're going to get close to that or below it eventually. So our assets, a little over 63 million. All liabilities are cleared, and our fund balance at 63 million. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right. The cabinet has provided numerous presentations under in the information section. I would like for the board to review this information for the next meeting. I would like to also see if there is a need for a recess. No? Okay. All right, then, all right, Dr. Oates, before we go to the next item on the agenda, do you have any remarks?
Just very, very briefly, we had the privilege today. I want to thank Cindy Ball. Of course, she coordinates very closely for our annual recognition of our STAR students at the Nancy Gwen Library. Of course, this is a function in partnership with the Rotary, Conyers Rotary Club. And so congratulations are in order because for Heritage High School, Chase Cleveland was the STAR student, and Kim Donaldson was this teacher. Rockdale County High School, Justin Sterling, the STAR student, Kerry Wagstaff, his teacher, Magnet, Maxwell Zhang, and Dr. Garner, whom we all know, was his STAR student. And then at Salem High School, Ethan Nimchicks and Dr. Nathan Wisdom was his STAR student there for I think for the first time in a while, Yaks participated. Is that right? And so Carson Lawler is their STAR student, and Jay Howe is their teacher. But the winner, the district winner, is Maxwell Zhang of the Magnet School. And so it was great to engage with the students and their families. This is always an exciting time. Our best students coming together and indicating the teachers who've had the greatest impact on them throughout their career, their educational career. Also, I'd just like to point out that we have a career and college fair going on literally parallel to this meeting as we speak at Rockdale Career Academy. I got a text from Tanya Cobb, our district's lead counselor, saying things are going exceptionally well there, and she shared some pictures as well. So we're very, very excited about that. Also, this has been a very busy week of stakeholder engagement with students, family, and staff. We've held 2 open forum with the superintendent sessions. We had Salem High School was our first, and then we had Rockdale last evening, Salem the evening before last. And we've had some really great engagement with our stakeholders. And the way it's set up, it's the first hour was targeting staff to come in and to engage. And then, of course, the second hour was our RCPS families of our students. And so I want to thank Cindy again because of coming up with this structure so that we can be structured and organized. She created a question card that had a lot of very important information. And as staff and families came in, you offered that card. Everyone got an offer for the card. And so we had a plentiful questions. And so it was very engaging. And so I'm very grateful for that. We have one more such forums. It'll be at Heritage High School to round out because our high school determines our cluster, and we'll round that out. So I'm excited about that. So that's all I have to share, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Okay, please review the January 2023 board minutes and provide any edits to Ingrid. We will vote on the minutes at the regular session. There is no old business and there is no new business. The cabinet has provided an overview of the action items for the board to vote on next week. Is there a motion for the action items to be placed on a consent agenda? Is there a second?
Second, Akita.
Okay, a motion to consider the action items under the consent agenda at the regular session has been made by Mrs. North and second by Ms. Palmer. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Vote carries 7-0. There is no board discussion. Okay. There is a need for the board to go into executive session to discuss personnel. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel? There's a second? A motion to go into executive session has been made for personnel by Ms. Duncan and a second by Ms. North. All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. We are now in executive session.
I'm trying to get you back, because I clicked, I know where I'm at, and I clicked 3 times to tell you where you are. This is where you are. Go back to the website. I don't know how to get back. All right. It is, that's what I'm saying. But like, if I'm telling somebody how to get there, I get the instructions would be, go to Dr. Siegel Document, under the about. But you gotta wait a minute, because this is where your screen is, it's your view, right? So if you need, like, somebody else. Right, so see, when you gotta wait a minute, and then this, when this comes up, this is like page, like, the big piece, right? So when you first pulled this up, you didn't see this, you gotta wait a minute for it to load. Okay, so when it's slow, but that's your signal. What's that? That has nothing to do with that. So when you're, because this is your you're working on the self-service. Okay. So your self-service has to load, and see, this is video, it's moving. So your self-service, when you see those 3 lines. And I haven't done this on your phone. So it's gonna be under about. And then because of the way your phone is showing up, see now, I can hover over it and see, I see meeting agendas, right? But you see that's a smaller print than Board of Education. So those are under Board of Education. And then whenever you see the plus sign, there's more there, is what it's saying. Okay, so click on that. See, I got it. It's your phone is touching. Let's see a second. Meeting agendas. A minute, let it load. Okay, so here tonight is 9, regular work session, right?
Yes, sir, appreciate it.
Okay.
I know it takes forever. They're looking at stuff.
Simply, it's not even. You're gonna have to wait a minute.
It's like something else happening.
No, it shouldn't be. If it's that slow, it's your signal. Watch me do it. So about. You're about meeting agendas.
There's a difference on the.
Well, you just cover it.
What display.
Yeah. So see how that, you know, this is, it's telling me it's loading, so be patient, right? So that. Okay, but I'm just telling you, on your phone, it takes even longer. It took that long on my laptop. Yeah, this, yeah, it's because you're doing it on the phone. So this is, the agenda to view this meeting live. Let's see where we are. Simply. Where's your back button? Where's your back button? Yeah. So, you know, that's fine. Yeah. This is a test of patience. It's trying. It's coming. It's a few photos from Michelle. So see how mine pulled right up, this
It is now 7:52 p.m. and I call this meeting back in session. Do I hear a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to transfer effective July the 1st, 2023, Statina Haynes Williams to principal of Pine Street Elementary, Christy Root to principal of Barksdale Elementary. Let's see. Dr. Anthony Brownie to assistant principal at Pine Street Elementary School. Dr. Lasanya Guyton to assistant principal at Honey Creek Elementary School. Dr. Tiana Holmes to assistant principal at Peaks Chapel Elementary School. Mr. Taiwan Tony to assistant principal at Epic Center. Dr. Joanna Sanders, assistant principal at Epic Center. Ms. Stacy Clark, assistant principal at Salem High School. Ms. Aaliyah Gilbert to assistant principal at Sims Elementary School. Ms. Kayla Jones to assistant principal at Flat Shoals Elementary School. Mr. Anthony Crowell to assistant principal at Conyers Middle School. And Mr. Kenneth Graffey to assistant principal at C.J. Hicks Elementary School. Also, we have Mr. John April to assistant principal at Salem High School effective February the 10th, 2023. Can I get a motion?
Second, Heather.
Okay, a motion has been made by Mr. Barksdale, a second by Ms. Duncan. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Motion carries 7-0. With no further business to discuss, do I hear a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved, Heather.
Second, Jamie.
A motion to adjourn the meeting has been made by Ms. Duncan and second by Ms. Jones. The meeting is adjourned. All in favor? Oh, okay. They all gone. Okay. Unanimously voted. We are on our way home.